The moment we stepped through those doors, I had a gut feeling the night was gonna crash and burn. The music blared so loud it rattled my bones, lights strobed in wild reds and blues, and the crowd was already hyped up, pulsing with energy. Me and Rachel were supposed to have a blast, a rare night to kick back, sip some drinks, and just enjoy each other's company, but right from the start, something felt wrong. Like a knot in my stomach that wouldn't loosen. Rachel was distant, barely giving me a glance, like I was invisible to her. When I tried to grab her hand, she'd slip away, leaving my fingers grasping at air. I'd lean in to murmur something in her ear, and she'd just give a half-hearted nod, her eyes darting around the room, anywhere but at me. It was clear, she wasn't really here with me, not in any way that mattered. Then I spotted him, a tall dude with a smug, know-it-all grin, the type who thinks the world revolves around him. Rachel's eyes locked onto him too, and I could see it unfold like a slow-motion car wreck. Her face lit up, her shoulders straightened, and she transformed right in front of me. She tossed her hair back, flashed that smile she used to save for me, and before I could even wrap my head around it, she was heading his way. No pause, no backward glance, no shred of guilt, she just went for it. I stood there, clutching my drink so tight my knuckles whitened, watching my wife throw her arms around another guy. She giggled at whatever he whispered, leaned in even closer, and then grabbed his hand, pulling him through the crowd until they vanished. That betrayal should have gutted me, should have left me gasping for air, but instead, I felt this eerie calm settle over me. In that moment, as I watched the woman I married walk away with someone else, it hit me, she'd just screwed up in the worst way possible. I wasn't about to make a scene or chase after her, begging for her to come back, no way. I was gonna make her regret this, and the kicker. Her best friend was already out in my car, waiting for me. I stood frozen, my drink sweating in my hand, watching Rachel melt into the crowd with that guy, not even sparing me a glance. It was like I didn't exist, like I was nothing to her. That kind of betrayal should have torn me apart, should have left a jagged hole in my chest where my heart used to be, but instead, I felt this strange clarity, like a fog lifting. Rachel thought she had the upper hand, thought she could just walk all over me. She probably figured I'd stumble home, drown my sorrows in whiskey, and wallow in self-pity. What she didn't know, what she couldn't have seen coming, was that I wasn't leaving this party alone. Her best friend, Sophie, was already with me, ready to turn this night upside down. Let me back up a bit. Sophie had been watching the whole mess go down from the other side of the room. She'd shown up with some mutual friends, and the second Rachel started acting cold, Sophie picked up on it. She wasn't just some casual acquaintance, she'd been in our lives for years, close to both me and Rachel. She knew Rachel better than anyone, and she knew me too, maybe even better than I realized. Over the last few months, she'd noticed Rachel pulling away, growing distant, changing. She'd even pulled me aside a few weeks back, quietly warning me that Rachel wasn't the same woman I'd fallen for. And now, here she was, watching Rachel prove every single one of her warnings true. I felt someone step up beside me, and before I could turn, a calm, steady voice cut through the noise. You don't deserve to be treated like this. I glanced over. It was Sophie, her expression serious, no trace of pity or smugness, just real. I let out a heavy breath, shaking my head. Yeah, guess I should have known this was coming. Sophie didn't respond right away, she just followed my stare to where Rachel had vanished with that guy. Then she looked back at me, her eyes steady. Come on, let's get out of here. I blinked, caught off guard. You serious? She gave a small shrug, swirling her drink casually. You don't owe her anything. No reason to stick around for this crap. Let's just go. I eyed Sophie for a second, trying to pin down if she was just feeling sorry for me, being nice, or if there was something deeper going on, but then she shot me this look, hard to decipher, but it clicked. Rachel thought she was running the show tonight, but she'd just fumbled everything. I knocked back what was left of my drink, plunked the empty glass on the table, and fished my keys out of my pocket. All right, I said, my voice calm and even. Let's get out of here. Sophie's face broke into a small, approving smile. Smart move, David. We slipped out of the party without drawing a single glance, like ghosts fading into the night. Rachel was too caught up in torching our marriage to even notice I'd left the building, and the best part? She had no clue about the storm that was about to hit her. Outside, the air was cool and sharp, the city buzzing with its usual late-night hum that I headed for my car, Sophie right beside me, her heels tapping lightly on the sidewalk. The party was still in full swing behind us, and Rachel was still in there, tangled up with that guy. She didn't have the faintest idea I was already gone, already moving on. That I hit the unlock button on my key fob and yanked open the driver's side door. Sophie slid into the passenger seat without a hint of hesitation, like we'd done this 100 times before, her calm confidence grounding me. That I wrapped my hands around the steering wheel, letting out a slow breath as the adrenaline started to fade, replaced by a cold, clear resolve. Rachel had made her call, and now it was my turn to make mine. We didn't say a word for the first few minutes of the drive, the city lights streaked by in a blur, a distant car horn slicing through the quiet. Then Sophie broke the silence, her voice casual but pointed. "So, what's your next move?" I let out a dry chuckle. "Next move?" She raised an eyebrow, shifting in her seat to look at me. "You think Rachel's just gonna shrug this off like it's nothing?" I flicked my eyes toward her, a grin tugging at my lips. "Why would she give a damn?" Sophie gave a short, sharp laugh, like she knew something I was just catching up to. "Because this isn't about you, David. It's about her need to be in charge. She made sure to ditch you first, to twist the knife. But if she finds out you walked out with me, that you didn't grovel or chase her," she shook her head, smirking, "she's gonna flip her lid." I mulled that over, the truth of it sinking in. Rachel had always been that way, always maneuvering to hold the reins. Even back when things were good, there was this subtle tug-of-war I hadn't fully clocked, or maybe I just didn't want to face it. And my grip on the wheel tightened, my jaw set. "Fine by me." Sophie's eyes glinted with something like approval. "Really?" I shot her a look, my grin spreading. "Yeah, let her lose her damn mind." She laughed again, a real, warm sound, shaking her head like she'd known I had this in me all along. That I pulled into a quiet lot outside a little all-night diner, the kind of spot I'd hit up when life got too heavy and I needed to think. That I killed the engine and leaned back, glancing at Sophie. "You feel like grabbing a bite?" She tilted her head, sizing me up for a second. "Yeah, I could go for some food." We stepped out, the warm, greasy aroma of pancakes and fresh coffee hitting us as we walked toward the diner, a no-frills joint packed with college kids and graveyard shift workers, the kind of place Rachel wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole. Somehow, though, it felt more real, more alive than anywhere I'd been in ages. That we slid into a worn vinyl booth, and a waitress hustled over right away. Sophie ordered a burger and fries, while I just asked for a coffee, my head still spinning. As the waitress walked off, my phone vibrated on the table, a sharp buzz that cut through the moment. I didn't need to check to know it was Rachel. Sophie caught the shift in my face and leaned forward, propping her chin on her hand with a sly grin. "Bet I can guess who that is." I pulled my phone out, flipping it so she could see the screen. 5 missed calls, 3 new texts, all from Rachel. She'd finally noticed I wasn't trailing after her like a lost puppy. I unlocked the phone, scanning the messages. "Rachel, where the hell are you?" "Rachel, David, why'd you just bail?" "Rachel, are you actually ignoring me right now?" I stared at the screen, weighing whether to fire back a reply. Then Sophie reached over, snatched the phone out of my hand, and I blinked, caught off guard. "Whoa, what are you doing?" She flashed a mischievous smirk, her fingers flying across the screen before tossing the phone back to me. I glanced down. Sophie had opened Rachel's chat and sent a single, ice-cold message, "Me, tied up. Catch you later." I gawked at the message for a beat, then let out a low chuckle. "Well, damn." Sophie flashed a wicked grin. "Oh, you know that's gonna make her head spin." My phone lit up again, this time with an incoming call, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. Rachel wasn't freaking out because she cared about me, she was panicking because, for once, she wasn't pulling the strings, and me? I was finally breaking free from her grip. The phone buzzed again, Rachel's name flashing across the screen. I didn't pick up. Instead, I flipped it face down on the table, letting it hum against the scratched-up surface. Sophie smirked, tossing a fry in her mouth, her eyes sparkling with mischief. "She's unraveling, isn't she?" I let out a laugh, shaking my head. "Oh, she's losing it big time. Another buzz, then a text popped up. Rachel, are you for real right now? Then another one rolled in, Rachel, where the hell are you? We gotta talk. I took a slow sip of my coffee, cool as a cucumber, not fazed in the slightest. Rachel had been the one to walk away first, making her choice loud and clear. She probably thought I'd just mope around like some chump, waiting for her to waltz back after her little fling. She never dreamed I'd actually leave, and she definitely didn't see me leaving with Sophie. Our food showed up, and for a few minutes, we ate without saying much. Sophie was chill, dunking her fries in ketchup like this was just another night out, but for me, this was the night my whole world flipped upside down. So, Sophie said after a bit, taking a pull from her soda. What's your game plan? I quirked an eyebrow. Game plan? She gave a little shrug. You gonna text her back. Let her grovel. Or just leave her stewing. I grinned, leaning back in the booth. Honestly, I'm kinda loving the quiet right now. Sophie's smile widened, a glint of approval in her eyes. That's ice cold, David. I'm into it. I shook my head, chuckling. You really can't stand her, huh? She leaned back, crossing her arms with a thoughtful look. Rachel and I go way back, sure, but let's be honest, she's always been out for herself. She plays these mind games, does whatever she feels like, and never thinks twice about who she hurts. I let out a long breath, raking a hand through my hair. Yeah, it took me way too long to figure that out. Sophie tilted her head, giving me a curious once-over. So, what was the final straw? The party? I paused, thinking it over. Nah, I admitted, I think deep down I knew for a while. I just didn't want to face it. For months, I'd brushed off the red flags, the way she'd grown cold, the constant excuses, how she was never really there even when we were in the same room. Tonight just laid it all bare, proving she never gave a damn about me. Rachel figured I'd always be her fallback, always waiting in the wings, but now. She was the one left in the dust. Another call came through, and this time, I decided to pick up. David, what the hell is wrong with you? Rachel's voice cut through, sharp and frantic. Why'd you just ditch me? I leaned back in the booth, calm as ever. Why's it matter to you? There was a long pause, and I could hear the party still raging in the background, music pounding, people laughing. She fumbled, like she was scrambling for the right thing to say. I just don't get why you didn't say you were leaving. I let out a short, bitter laugh. That's rich. You mean like how you didn't mention you were running off with some other guy? Dead silence. Then she switched to defense mode, her tone biting. It wasn't like that, David. He's just a friend. I shook my head, not buying it for a second. Oh, sure. Just a friend you were all over. Just a friend you vanished into the crowd with. Just a friend you blew me off for all night. She sucked in a breath, caught off guard. David, you're blowing this way out of proportion. I was just having a good time. Well, guess what? So am I said, keeping my voice light and easy. Another pause, and when she spoke again, her tone was softer, uncertain. Where are you right now? I glanced across the table at Sophie, who was grinning like she could already predict my next move. I smiled, slow and deliberate. Wouldn't you love to find out? The quiet on Rachel's end of the call was so thick it felt like the world stopped. She wasn't used to me holding the reins, not even a little bit. David, she said again, her voice softer now, almost cautious, like she was stepping on thin ice. Where are you at? I could just picture her outside that party, arms folded tight, chewing her lip, freaking out. She figured I'd be home, moping, maybe blowing up her phone with angry texts, but nope, I was gone, and she didn't have a clue where I'd ended up. I let the silence drag out before answering, my tone cool and steady. I'm tied up, Rachel. She let out a quick, sharp breath. With who, David? I grinned, glancing at Sophie across the table, who was sipping her soda, watching me like this was the best show in town. You really want to hear this? I teased, drawing it out. Rachel paused, and I could tell she was fighting to sound calm, but the strain in her voice betrayed her. Yeah, she said, her words clipped. Tell me. I leaned back in the booth, letting the moment build, savoring it, then I dropped the hammer. I'm with Sophie. Dead silence. Honest to God, I thought the call might have cut out, then Rachel exploded. Are you *****ing serious right now? Sophie let out a loud, real laugh, not some fake chuckle, and I knew Rachel caught it through the phone. Why were you acting so shocked? I asked, keeping my voice level, like we were just chatting about the weather. You ditched me for some other guy first, or did you forget? Rachel fumbled, her words tripping over each other. It's not the same thing, David. Oh, really? I said, raising an eyebrow she couldn't see. So you get to cozy up with some dude at a party, but me leaving with your best friend, that's where you draw the line. She let out a shaky breath, like she was grasping at straws. You don't get it, David. That guy. He didn't mean anything. I chuckled, low and dry. That's adorable. You think I'm still hung up on you? Another stunned pause, probably the first time in our marriage Rachel wasn't running the show. She thought she had me on a leash, but I just outplayed her at her own game. I can't believe you're pulling this, she whispered, her voice trembling like she was on the verge of tears. You're my husband. I tilted my head, pretending to mull it over. You didn't seem too worried about that when you were all over that guy. Rachel let out a frustrated, angry huff. Are you doing this to hurt me? I shrugged, even though she couldn't see it. Nah, I'm just making sure you get something. What's that? She spat, venom in her voice. That I smiled, slow and deliberate. You're not the queen of the world, Rachel. You thought you could stomp all over me, and I'd just eat it. I could hear her breathing, uneven and ragged, like she was reeling. But I'm done playing your doormat, I went on. You made your bed, now lie in it. Rachel started to stammer something, but I wasn't having it. I hung up the phone. I set my phone face down on the table and let out a long breath, feeling lighter than I had in months. Sophie grinned from across the booth. Damn, that was kinda sexy. I laughed, shaking my head. You're getting way too much of a kick out of this. She popped a fry in her mouth, smirking. Hell yeah, I am. She had that coming. I looked at her for a second, then grinned. So, you up for twisting the knife a little more? Sophie raised an eyebrow, intrigued. What's cooking in that head of yours? I leaned in, dropping my voice. How about we snap a selfie? Her eyes sparkled with mischief, and she laughed, shaking her head. Man, David, you're way more savage than I gave you credit for. I smirked, feeling a rush I hadn't felt in years. You ain't seen nothing yet. We took the photo, Sophie leaning in close, flashing a bright smile, me looking cool and unbothered, like I didn't have a care in the world. Right before I powered off my phone, I fired off the picture to Rachel. No words, no explanation, just the raw truth that she'd picked another guy. So I picked her best friend, and for the first time in forever, I was the one coming out on top.